Hello, welcome to another Lion's Den. It's me, Alan the Rules Lawyer, here from Black Crow Gaming, and I've got a very special guest that I hinted about in last week's episode. It's only Gerald P. Oh, how do you pronounce your last name?
Chartier.
Chartier, very French. So, for those that don't know, and if you're a Dark Angels player, you really should know, who are you? What's your credentials? Why are you here?
I am here because I'm the author of the Angels Keep blog. It's a blog dedicated to Dark Angels content. I do a weekly entry about the lists that have done well over the weekend, and I try to also do other content that'd be interesting and useful to Dark Angels.
Which you do. I read your blog every week. I think it's very a really good read. I like your take on things. Yeah, it's linked every week on the Dark Angels competitive Facebook page, so you can find it there. If you, when this video comes out, if Gerard puts a link in the comments, if you want to check it out, if you haven't already, then please go and check it out. It's a really, really good blog for Dark Angels players because you get to see the top lists, you get to see not only what those lists are, because Gerard very kindly sets out in his very unique style what the units are, but also he goes through who they beat in what order and things, and does a little bit of digging about it. I know you've spoken to some people before as well to get their take, so it's really, really interesting content, and you put some of your games up there as well sometimes as well, some of your tournaments, and talk about those, so really, really great and interesting blog.
Thank you very much. I tried to make the blog that I wanted to read.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I do, is try and make videos that I want to watch. So, yeah, good. So today we're here to talk about detachments, and the reason that I invited Gerard, as he says, is because he writes about the detachments that did best. And you also put stats in there about win rates and things as well. So I wanted to look at what detachments we should be using as Dark Angels players, but also I thought it'd be interesting to look at why we don't use certain detachments. Space Marines have the most amount of detachments available out of any faction, and as Dark Angels players, we get extra ones, as do some other lesser chapters. But we get all of the Space Marine ones, we get all of the Dark Angels ones. Why are we fixed on what? 4, probably, mainly? Is that about right?
4.
Yeah, about 4. The odd other one plopping in.
Wrath, Gladius, Stormlance, and occasionally Company of Hunters, and every once in a while an Iron Storm list as well.
Yeah. So 4, maybe 5 sometimes. So I thought it'd be interesting to explore why, because actually I think sometimes it's worth thinking outside the box. And I'll talk about that as we go through, because I've got some out-of-the-box ideas that I do want to try, and I'd be interested to know Gerard's view while we're talking about it. So, detachment. So, what I've done is I've put together a little bit of a rundown of what our detachments are that we have access to. And these are the ones, first of all, that any Marines can take. So, we are going to focus on Dark Angels. Why should you or should you not take these detachments as a Dark Angels player? So the first one, the amazing First Company Task Force with the best detachment rule out of all of them. Once per battle, you can re-roll Wound on Oaths. Ooh! Why is this bad, Gerard?
Oh, gosh. I mean, you got a detachment rule that you can only use once per game. So there's that. Also, it does kind of keyword you into Terminators.
Yeah, Terminators, Stern Guard, Vanguard, anything First Company, right?
Yeah.
Blade Guard.
Yeah. Yeah, Blade. And like a lot of those, particularly, the regular bog standard Power Fist, Stormbolt, or Terminator is just not in a good place right now.
No, AP0, Stormbolters, 3 wounds, which a lot of things could deal with 3 wound infantry, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I did have a look at this today, actually, in a bit of detail, just to see if there was anything good. I mean, there's the uppy downy thing, a bit of movement. There's -1 damage. So you can run a sort of a unit of Thunderhammer Terminators and make them into Deathwing Knights temporarily for -1 damage. But no advance in charge, no -1 to wound, no rule for four turns.
Yeah.
I mean, should we move on, or is there anything else to say about First Company Task Force?
I think we can move on. The only I've been writing my blog since 2024.
Yeah.
I think, and I don't think I've once covered a First Company Task Force.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. And you probably haven't covered an Anvil Siege Force. Now, Anvil Siege Force is obviously if you wanted to go for range. So maybe all your ranged have heavy, +1 to wound if stationary, and they've got heavy already. So let's say you wanted to go for your Hellblasters, they've got heavy, and you keep them still, they're +1 to wound, right? Everything's got heavy, so everything that stays still. Brilliant, that's good, isn't it?
The problem is it's a movement-based game. Where you move your units is extremely important. And having to not move them to get your detachment roll is just not good.
No. So I've played against this not with Dark Angels, with Imperial Fists, and all I did was just keep out of his 5 in line. So he had to keep moving to shoot me, and every time he moves to shoot me, he loses his detachment rule. It does remind me a bit of Ninth, where if you stayed still, you got +1 to hit, but that was in both players' turns, and in your opponent's turn, you always stood still. So I don't know if you played Ninth.
I don't play Knights. I played against them often enough.
No, sorry, Ninth edition, last edition.
Oh, 9th edition. Oh, yeah, I played 9th edition quite a lot.
Yeah, so Dark Angel.
Not as much as 10th.
Yeah, we had +1 to hit if you didn't move.
Right.
In the turn, so you always had it in your opponent's turn. So it reminds me a bit of that, but of course, you're absolutely right. It's a movement-based game. Movement wins games, and you just... Yeah, so probably let's move on for that one. So we're not going to rush through all of them, but I think there's a good reason why the first two don't see play. We've got a new kid on the block, Bastion Task Force. Battle line can advance, fall back, and shoot, charge, and can action if they advance and fall back. And reroll hits on ones after battle line shoots a unit. So a battle line shoots a unit, everything else gets rerolls to ones. And okay, over to you. Why are we not seeing Dark Angels take this? But we're seeing Black Templars take it. We're seeing some Space Wolf players take it.
Well, I think Black Templars are taking it because they just have a good battle line unit. Like their Crusader squad, I think it is a solid unit. I think the reason that we as Dark Angels players don't take it is that
we don't have any decent battle line units.
Yeah, there's a battle line tax in order to use it. There is like one strat that makes me go ooh.
Okay.
But or at least there was. Let me see if I can find it.
So while you're looking for that, I can see like having intercessors and assault intercessors being able to move really fast and doing actions and falling back. And I see that's really being really useful. But I think you're right. I think we don't have any special battle line units, and I think that's what kills it for me. But go. What's the stratagem that's good?
It's Light of Vengeance. It's shooting phase or fight phase. It can be used on any Adeptus Astartes unit. It gives the unit either lethal hits or sustained hits. If you attack a unit that has been off-spec scanned by one of your battle line units. And what really tempts me is to pair that up with a nice big brick of Ravenwing Knights. I play that unit a lot, the 6 Ravenwing Knights, and the the command squad, so you got the total of nine
Wow.
plasma bikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and every time I have a pre-counted bucket of dice for when I roll their to hit roll with their plasma talons when they're within 9 inches, within they're in rapid fire range. And every time I do it, I lament that the 6s to hit don't do anything. They just hit.
So
It's just so many 6s.
so sustain. You like sustained or lethal? I get it.
Yeah.
And I think there's an enhancement, is there not, that turns any unit into a battle line unit? So you could put like a chaplain with Deathwing Knights or
Yeah, there
something, and make
is.
them battle line, or maybe like a big block of assault Terminators or something. But I think you're right. I think
Range weapons.
go on.
Oh man, I have the Primarch. This is in the enhancement that you're talking about,
Yeah.
but it's a 10-point enhancement. Ranged weapons equipped by the bearer and the battle line. Oh, okay, I misread it. Ranged weapon equipped by the bearer and the battle line models in the bearer's unit have the precision. Because I was like, ooh, like put that on a Ravenwing champion. It's just, no, it's just him.
So I think you know, if we could get like Outriders as battle line or something like we can in Company Hunters, but Company
There might be
Hunters,
some space there.
Company Hunters can do that anyway. There's can't action. Yeah, I like the whole action thing. I like the fact that advancing an action, like again in ninth, you could do that. So I think the answer is, the reason why we don't take Bastion is because we don't have special battle line units, right? I think Bastion is designed for, you know, Space Wolves have got their Blood Claws and the Grey Hunters. Black Templars have got
It does
Crusaders.
kind of make me miss. Kind of makes me miss when Belial made Deathwing Terminators. The term was troops at the time.
Yeah.
But if we could take a character that made Deathwing Terminator squads battle line units, we'd be all over this.
So this next one is an interesting one, because Firestorm Assault Force gives all your weapons assault +1 strength within 12. So, you know, if you're deep striking in, you're going to be within 12. So you're going to get that +1 strength. If you've got assault, you can advance, which, you know, you've got assault, so you can advance, so you might get within 12, so you're going to get that +1 strength. So +1 strength on Melter, you know, Melter strength 10, you know, that's a bit of a break point. Now, I've created a bit of a list thinking about the Necron meta. And I've made a Firestorm list because there is an enhancement, Champion of Humanity, I think it's called.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
Where you ignore all modifiers. So you put it on a lieutenant, and it's lieutenant because we're English. I'm English. With Hellblasters, maybe with Azrael.
Yep.
So you've got lethal, you've got sustained, and you're ignoring modifiers. You're getting those damage 2 through to Catan. I think maybe there's some play, and then maybe you get some Stern Guard in there as well, so you're getting out all the mortal wounds. There's a strat for +1 to wound. There's a strat that gives mortal wounds to Flamers. So I put a unit of Flamers in a drop pod with a captain, because it costs 2 CP, I think. So he reduces the CP cost by 1. So you're doing devs on Flamers. Is there some play with Firestorm? I wonder if there is.
I played Firestorm a lot at the beginning of the edition, and I did really enjoy it.
What killed it?
Maybe it just wasn't a good enough player.
I think.
So I think now one of the I think if you're going to play Firestorm, you really want to have a couple of repulsors. I didn't have any repulsors.
I've got I've got one on my painting desk at the moment, and yeah.
Because repulsors have a unit ability where guys can just hop back into the transport.
Yeah.
If they're the target of a charge.
Yeah. And then the detachment has an ability as well where you can get back in if you didn't get out in the same turn. Yeah. So there's another way of doing it.
Yeah, and I really it was a lot of fun to play. I think the big problem with it is it doesn't have a mechanism built in so you can fall back and do things.
Yeah. I think Toby used to play Firestorm at the start of the edition as well, and I think the reason he stopped actually was when actions changed, because at the start of the edition you could advance
Right.
and action.
Yeah.
And so having assault on everything meant your whole army could advance and action.
Yeah.
And I think that's what killed it for him. But I've got GT coming up soon, and the terrain is relatively open. And terrain obviously matters. And my normal list is quite a heavy melee list, but I'm worried it's going to get shot off because there's not a lot of hiding spots on the no man's land. So I'm actually thinking, if I'm bringing a shooting list, is Firestorm a good shooting list, or do I just go Gladius?
Gladius is probably objectively better.
Okay. Why? For shooting,
because you don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to tie up a lot of units in a lot of points in transports.
Yep.
In order to get the juice out of the Firestorm, you really need to use transports, and also like there's a lot of overlap between the ability for the Firestorm and the detachment rule for the Company of Hunters.
Yes,
because the Company of Hunters is arguably better for a shooting list, even with the strats like only really applying to Ravenwing keyworded units, because the detachment rule lets everything advance and shoot and fall back and shoot.
I thought no, fall back and shoot is own. Oh no, yes, right, yeah, and then you can advance and charge or fall back and charge and mounted. Yeah. So we're skipping ahead a little bit, but that's fine. That's fine. But we are Gladius is next, and everyone knows Gladius. 3 doctrines: advance, fall back and shoot, advance, fall back and charge. So advance and charge, or fall back and charge.
Like Gladius is just fantastic.
It's got a lot of everything, and people still say it's the best detachment for any Space Marines, including Dark Angels.
It's hard to go too far wrong by playing Gladius.
What I don't like about Gladius is, we talked about earlier, the game's won on movement. Fine, you get your advance and charge, and you can strat one unit to advance and charge, or fall back and charge, or whatever. My thing is, the reactive move, unless you're in the right doctrine, which is once per game, is D6. And the issue with that is, if you really need to get behind that wall, or you need to get away from something, and you roll a 1, you can't CP re-roll it, you know, and that bothers me. And I think the other thing that bothers me is, because you have to choose your go turn. So let's say it's turn 2, and you're like, I'm going to advance everywhere. And you go for your advance and charge, and you select your first unit, and you roll a 1 on the advance, and you're like, oh, is my go turn now over? Is this do I put that unit out and hope everything else rolls well, or do I cancel my go turn? Because if you cancel your go turn in Gladius, you're done. Whereas
you're just done.
In Stormlance, if you cancel your go turn, you just wait a turn, because it's every turn.
Yeah.
And that's why I've struggled with Gladius, because I like consistency. I like knowing what's going to happen, and I just don't like Gladius. How about you? Do you play it much?
After I stopped playing Firestorm, I played Gladius, and I like the detachment. It's got a lot of good things going for it. I think if you want to skew, you probably don't want to play Gladius. So if you want to skew towards assault heavy, then Stormlance is probably the way to go. But if you're playing a pretty balanced list, it's like turn 1, you don't go into a doctrine because you're just staging up your units. Turn 2 is Devastator Doctrine. Then turn 3 is Assault Doctrine. Or turn 3 might be a Tactical Doctrine, depending on
whether your opponent's tagged you up or not. Yeah.
And then, like, the turn 5, if you need a doctrine on turn 5, something's gone wrong.
Something probably has gone. Although I've played games where actually it has been. I've barely used the doctrine because the opponents come to me, so I've not had to advance and charge. So, you know, there are times where sometimes you get into the late game and you're like, actually, I've not needed to use my doctrines at this point. So it can happen, but for me, it's about that consistency. I know it's really good. I think we struggle because we don't get the +1 to wound on our oath. So things like
Yeah.
Redempt to Dreadnoughts, you need like hammer strikes or something to give them that +1 to wound. What I do like about Gladius is the lance. So things like if you're charging in the lion, you can use your sweep at strength 6 with +1 to wound to
Yep.
really good effect. Or if you really need to pick up a vehicle, you can do your strike with +1 to wound, so you're winning on 2s.
I like that Storm of Fire can give you improved AP.
Yeah, and that can be really clipped as well.
Yeah.
So it's definitely got all the tools. It's got a lot of utility. For me, it just doesn't have that consistency. And again, 3 turns of rules in a 5-turn game.
Yeah, it's true.
But probably you tell me, is it our best performing detachment? Or is Wrath?
It varies from week to week.
Okay.
I think it Gladius, Stormlance, and Wrath all like they exchange best perform, at least as far as numbers of X1 or XOX1 results.
Yeah.
Although I should probably add a like percentage, like X results versus players played, because that by that metric, like Gladius and Stormlands would be much higher than Wrath.
Yeah. I think because a lot of people just pick it up, don't they? A lot of people that might not know quite what they're doing, maybe pick up Gladius because it's the kind of go-to detachment, and maybe that brings the numbers down, maybe a bit higher. If maybe I'm being
not too many. So the Wrath of the Rock is consistently being played by twice as many people as are playing all the other detachments.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And this is why you're here. You know what you're talking about when it comes to stats. So let's move on to Ironstorm. Now, I tried Ironstorm recently, and I don't know whether it was my list or whether it was the meta, but I went to an RTT, I went 3-0, and then I went to a super major and went 3-2. So I've got another version. I didn't have the line in it. I put the line in it now, and I think
Right.
I think maybe not having the line was a mistake. But the way I kind of do it, I have a Land Raider full of Deathwing Knights, a Repulsive Executioner with ICC and Azrael, and then just kind of move them up and go, here's a problem. How are you going to deal with it? And then obviously have loads of other stuff. So I think it can work, but for me, because I didn't have a lot of experience with it, maybe it's not. I think Ironstorm, you've got to really hone. In fact, probably most detachments, you've got to hone a list. You've got to play it. You've got to get the reps in. Can it work?
I think it can work, and like some people have done very well with it. I want to say that the Ironstorm lists that I've seen that I've covered in my blog, like even now, they tend to have a Storm Raven in them, because the Storm Raven just has a pile of guns.
It does, but I found with that +1 to wound, it can lack a little bit in terms of the punch.
Yeah, but now it's not an unreasonable investment to put Storm Speed or Thunderstrike in your list. At 150 points, I think was too many points. At 135, it's like, okay.
Yep.
Its guns probably not going to pick up a monster or vehicle, although if you're lucky, it'll do some damage. But the buff it gives, and it gives the buff to all your shooting into that target. So
and it hits on 2s by itself, which is nice.
It hits on 2s by itself. I tend to try and put its main guns into something that I hope it will kill by itself, and then It's also got a twin linked Icarus rocket pod,
Mm.
and that's D3 shots, and that hits on threes, but that's usually not a problem having it hit the thing that I want to thunder strike.
I've been playing with I keep getting the Thunder Strike and Hammer Strike confused, but it's the one that gives the strips cover because
Yeah, the hammer strike strips cover, and I think in a vacuum,
it's got the twin melter and strips covers
yeah,
pretty much like -1 AP, right?
yeah, in a vacuum, the hammer strike is probably the best of the three.
Yeah.
But if you're running like, because one of the things about the Thunderstrike is that it makes even your anti-chaff shooting a much more serious threat to bigger targets.
Yeah.
Getting back to that Storm Raven, one of its gun systems are a pair of hurricane bolters.
Yeah, lots of shots.
That's a lot of shots that if you hit the Thunderstruck target are wounding on fives.
Yeah.
And it's twin linked.
Yeah. No, that can be a lot of saves. So
Yeah.
I think for me, because it used to be Ironstorm was just Dark Angel's Ironstorm was absolutely rocking it with Redemptors and, like you say, 1 or 2 Storm Ravens, probably 3 Redemptors. And I think
it's also
go on.
Yeah, it's also got some fantastic strats.
Yeah, that's what I was going to come on to. And I think the thing that killed it for me, because even with Azzy, although he was in transport some of the time, so not getting the benefit of his CP, I never really had the CP to use the best strat, because that used to be 1 CP, it's gone up to 2, which is
Mercy is weakness.
Mercy is weakness. So critting on 5s, sustained, you've got your Tech Marine, he gives you lethals, so lethals on 5s and 6s, and as long as the thing's wounded, so you've got to get a wound in first. My goodness, like at one point, the old Catan, you could pick up the old Catan with a repulsor executioner's secondary guns and use the main cannon on something else. So I think that going up to 2 CP really just made it hard to use, and maybe that is that what killed the detachment, or was it other things in the meta, or what happened?
Maybe. Looking at that strat, I don't think it's inappropriate at 2 CP.
No, probably not.
Yeah, the meta did move on. It could just be that, like we as Dark Angels players got to play some unique Dark Angels units. Like, I don't think it's so much that the Ironstorm got smacked. I think we just got other options that are
better.
Yeah, well, not necessarily even better, probably better, but closer to what we want a Dark Angels army to look like.
Yeah. But yeah, so Ironstorm possibly. I might try it again. With the Lion this time, and then the next one.
Probably,
so God.
Yeah, I would probably. Yeah, I would definitely use the Lion. If you got a Storm Raven, yeah, absolutely use a Storm Raven. If you don't, I don't think you need it.
I've got a Storm Raven. I just think it's quite pricey now, and I think you look at the Storm Raven, you look at like a Land Raider or Rep-X, and of course the Storm Raven goes off on his own, so he leaves the Tech Marines behind.
Yeah, the funny thing about the Storm Raven though is it can transport a Dreadnought.
It can. It drops off the Redemptor kind of in front of it.
Yeah,
it's hard to hide from. I think the nice thing for Dark Angels in particular, what I was using was the Land Speeder Dark Shroud. Dark Shroud,
yeah.
Because you can kind of you can castle up pretty well with your vehicles, and then everything's -1 to hit. I played against Jukari with Dark Lances, and they were just missing constantly.
A lot of the things that are really good in the Ironstorm also have 2+ armor save.
Yeah.
So that is the absolute best type of unit to support with Dark Shrouds.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Right, we'll go through the next ones fairly swiftly. Librarius Conclave. It's got 5 disciplines, so you've got your rules throughout. But what I've found is because it's all about librarians, you're so character heavy, having put librarians everywhere.
Yeah, it's cute, but you're paying that librarian tax.
You really are, and it's got
Yeah.
an amazing enhancement with your stern guard.
Fusillade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be honest, off the top of my head, I can't remember. Is it 4+ devs or
It's 5+
five
devs.
5+ devs?
Anti-monster, anti-vehicle, 5 up.
And if you oath it, you're
And
re-rolling. You're re-rolling your
yeah,
wounds.
and
Yeah,
you get sustained hits if you have pyromancy up.
yeah. It has some play possibly, but I think you're right. I think the librarian tax is just too high, and it doesn't have advance and charge. It's got a bit of movement bonuses, but when the few times I've played it, I always found that whatever discipline I was in, the strat that I needed was the wrong discipline to get the full
Right.
benefit of the strat. I wanted to make my opponent's weapons hazardous in melee, but I needed a different discipline to do what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? So I think a really really high skill player who puts a lot of reps into it could probably do okay, but I just think it needs a lot of work. It just needs a lot of practice, and I just don't know if it's worth it.
Yeah. I've only seen the Librarius Conclave. Like, I've only reviewed a Librarius list once,
Yeah,
and it was shortly after it came out.
yeah, and people didn't know what to do.
Yeah, if the stratagems weren't all keyworded to psyker units, then
Maybe.
then maybe. But like, or if they were keyworded in a way where they have one ability and then an improved version of it if it's a psyker unit,
Rather than
'cause
being in the right discipline.
yeah, because I could see if you could use the strats on units that don't have psychers in them, then maybe like make a list with 2 units of stern guard. One of them you attach Azrael to, and the other one you have your Fusillade Librarian attached to, and just nothing wants to get close to you.
Yeah. Orbital Assault Force. This is a new one. I don't think I've seen anyone play it apart from wanting to experiment with deep striking 3 Land Raiders. I think the thing for me is it wants you to play drop pods, which frankly are just an expensive way to get deep strike in many ways, and secondly, it massively discourages rapid ingress, which is one of your best ways of actually getting where you want to go, because you only really get your bonuses if you in the turn you deep strike. So if you deep strike in your opponent's turn, you've lost that. Is there anything we particularly want to deep strike that doesn't have deep strike?
Even if there is, you can just put it in strategic reserve and have it come in off a board edge. So, and the table is smaller than it used to be before 8th edition. So, yeah, I don't see a lot of purpose having just like you playing this detachment, because the things that you want to deep strike generally already can do it.
Yep, and if you're going to want a deep strike, you're going to want shooting stuff because you don't want to make that 9-inch charge. So what, you're going to deep strike? What, some Hell Blasters, some Infernus Marines, maybe? And maybe
Hell Blasters have a 24-inch range. They don't. You just have them come in on a board edge.
Yeah, and just for reroll wounds of 1, it just doesn't give you enough, I don't think.
Yeah.
But moving on to one of my favourite detachments, which is Stormlance, and we did talk about it briefly when we were talking about Gladius, and the reason I like Stormlance so much is consistency. So I played Stormlance. I did very well with it. I had a brick of 10 Assault Terminators with a Chaplain, because actually they were really good distraction card effects, believe it or not. But it's that can always advance and charge. Can always fall back in charge. I've got a guaranteed reactive move of the distance, which it's 6, but Terminators it's 5 because it's limited by your move characteristic. But it means I can position in such a way that I know where I'm going to end up. So all my movement shenanigans I can pre-plan. To be fair, because I took 0 bikes in my Stormlance list, I only had technically three usable stratagems, which was good because I could focus
Right.
on the stratagems that I had. One of those, I think, it's been a while since I played, but Advance and Shoot, I think, is one of them, isn't it?
Yeah, blitzing fusillade.
Yeah, I can't remember the other one. Arm of Contempt.
And it also, if the unit's guns already have assault, it gives them sustained hits.
Yes, which I basically never had. I don't think I had any shooting in my list. It was just all Terminators and the Lion and
Yeah.
Inner Circle Companions and Azrael. And the way I played it is I just rushed everything up I rushed my Assault Terminators up the board while everything else staged.
Yeah.
By the time things were trying to deal with the Assault Terminators, next turn, everything else in my army just hit them. Or I got a turn 1 charge. I had a Calidus Assassin in my list who went forward if I went first and just went, nope, you're not using any strats. Turn 1, you've got 1 CP and you're not doing anything. So no Overwatches, no Armor Contempt, no whatever you've got. So if I get a turn 1, a number of times I win a game end of turn 1. But it's that consistency because I know that if I get a bad advance roll, I quit the go turn and I just wait a turn. What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think of Stormlance?
Yeah, it's also hard to go too far wrong with Stormlance, and you don't have to tech into it with mounted units because a lot of most of our best units are assault units: the Deathwing Knights, the Lion, Inner Circle Companions. So you cannot go too far wrong just making your list like the Lion and 3 units of Deathwing Knights and a unit of ICCs with Azrael, and you make it a Stormlance and you just go.
Yeah,
but you maybe have a couple of.
Go on.
You maybe have a couple of like Gladiator Lancers just to open transports.
You clearly didn't.
Beside that, that's great.
You clearly didn't watch last week's video. It's all about the ballistas. I've decided.
Yeah, ballistas. Same thing. I'm still salty that the ballistas is 150 because I thought it was like barely adequate at 140.
I still think it's worth 100. Anyone who hasn't watched it, check out last week's video. I think it is. I still think the ballistas is a top dog when it comes to anti-tank, but reading through the comments, a lot of people disagree. So it's a really great debate to have. I think it does have some good strats of bikes as well, of course. So I think it's -1 to hit and wound, isn't it, on mounted? Or was it Raven Wing? Mounted and fly.
No, it's mounted. It's keyworded to mounted. In the Stormlance, keyworded to mounted. When I played the Stormlance, my list was a lot like yours, but instead of my distraction Carnifex, instead of it being assault terminators like you did, I did 6 outriders with a Ravenwing command squad.
Yeah,
and that way I had the ability to use those mounted keyworded stratagems. And it's like you run that forward, and then if opponents want to shoot at it, you play Windswift Evasion. I think it's Windswift.
Yeah,
right hard, right fast.
Right, yeah. -1 to hit, -1
right hard,
to
right fast. So they're -1 to hit and -1 to wound.
Compared to Company of Hunters, -1 to hit only.
Yeah, and then if you need, it's expensive, but if you need it, you've got full throttle for a 9-inch advance on the mounted unit, and then Shock Assault is great. You have to remember that you play it during the charge phase. Because it lets you reroll charge rolls with a mounted unit, and they get Lance.
Nice. Yeah, really useful.
We pay a CP just to get Lance.
Yeah.
So getting Lance and reroll charge rolls is fantastic.
Although, of course, if you don't make the charge, you've wasted it. But still, you're probably going to spend a CP reroll on the charge anyway, right? Yeah. So doing it in advance. So yeah, there are definitely different ways to play it. I had no guns in my list. I didn't even have a ballistas when I played it. I had no guns at all. It was just all run up in your face. And of course, my meme was this is the bike detachment, and I've got no bikes. Right.
I would advise anyone playing anyone playing an assault heavy list should have a couple of units, at least 1 or 2, that can pop open transports.
Yeah, I agree.
I
do agree. I mean, I tried it and I did well, but you're right. I think having a couple of things there just to deal with it is not a bad idea. But
Not necessarily a lot, but like one or two.
But I've popped plenty of transports by, say, sticking the lion in something else. And the lion pops the transport, and the other thing kills what comes out of it. You've got to position very carefully. But Vanguard. So I played Vanguard at the start of 10th, and that was back when Deathwing Knights were in squads of 10, and I had maces that were -1 AP and 3 damage.
Yeah.
So I'd put
I
a
missed
squad.
those 3 damage maces.
I know, right? But only -1 AP. But I'd put 10, 10 Deathwing Knights with a chaplain,
Right.
infiltrating, and it was just incredible. And of course, it was all Terminators. So like, and people were like, "Well, hang on a minute," but it was like, "Hang on, but the enemy are then -1 to hit me if they're more than 12 inches away, and if they come within 12 inches, that's my happy place. Thank you very much, because there's no advanced charge or whatever." So it had its shot at the start. Now you can't bring that big unit. I don't know what it does for us. In other Space Marine things, obviously you're going to bring any Centurions and blah blah blah. But do we bring anything to the party in Vanguard that other chapters don't do better?
No. I think that Ultramarines basically do Vanguard the best because they have the character support, the character interactions between, like giving a unit that wouldn't ordinarily have deep strike, and I think that's the main one. And then you use the strat so you can uppy downy that unit forever. So you attach that guy. Actually, you don't even attach him to somebody.
Nope.
You have that guy, and you'd be like, this unit of Centurion Devastators gets to deep strike.
Yeah, Uriel Ventress.
And then you just uppy downy that all game, and like.
Yep. So.
Got,
So it's
we're not here to talk about
Ultramarines. We're not talking about Ultramarines. But yeah, I think that's why Vanguard doesn't really. We just don't. We don't bring anything by having Asriel, the Deathwing Knights, really, that other detachments. Sure, we could infiltrate 5 Deathwing Knights and a chaplain and just get killed because even Deathwing Knights can't survive a dedicated assault if they're right in the front. Not 5 anyway. Now we get to the meat of the bones, the Dark Angels detachments. We've talked already a bit about Company of Hunters. It's advance, fall back and shoot for everyone. And mounted can also advance, fall back and charge. So it does really, really want you to bring those mounted to get the best out of it. I've tried it. I've struggled with it. But I think, although you kind of are pushed into mounted, I think really the advance, fall back and shoot also makes you think, actually, maybe Vindicators, maybe ballistic, but maybe more kind of shooting stuff that isn't bikes. So what is doing well with Company Hunters?
A couple of ways to play the Company of Hunters. Like you can lean into the bikes, and my current list has 2 of those 9-man Ravenwing Night Bricks that I was telling you about earlier. And if I can set them up right, they can do really well because they can have 2 good activations a turn.
Yeah, and you've got good enhancement support, haven't you? So you've got one that allows them to come in a turn early, one that allows a 9-inch scout. Yeah,
it's a 9-inch scout. And then there's one that allows you to reroll advance and charge rolls. And then there's one that it's the 10-point one that gives the bearer's melee weapon precision. And I tend to scoff at that, but at the same time, I've been making good use out of Epic Challenge a lot lately. Because there's a lot of armies who rely on
character support,
buffing units with fairly squishy characters. And so I've been like, okay, I'm gonna Epic Challenge that Hospitaller out of this out of this unit of the sisters with the shields and maces. So you can't bring them back after I kill them.
Yeah.
Or if you have to go into Necron Wraiths with the Techromancer, I've been having good luck putting the Lion into them and then epic challenging the Technomancer, and the Lion just obliterates the Technomancer.
It's funny you should say that because I played at the weekend and I managed to kill him just because he made 6 4-up saves, and
Right.
then he made a whole bunch of feel no pains.
Yeah.
So I did get him out, but I did nothing else. The Lion literally just killed the Technomancer, which is crazy insane. He should have killed the Technomancer and probably taken out a Wraith or two, but hey
Right.
ho.
Yeah. I've generally, because when you do epic challenge, once you've killed the character, the wounds spill out.
Yeah, of course.
So I've generally killed like like the Technomancer in 2 or 3 wraiths.
Yeah, and you should.
with
Although,
the
of course,
Lion.
they still keep the
Yeah.
feel no pain for that activation. So
For the active, yeah, for that one activation. But then if they stay stuck in with the Lion, like he goes first.
and then he just picks up race like
Yeah,
nobody,
yeah.
unless they can roll all fours. Here's the thing, and this is again
Sometimes
another reason why I wanted to talk to you, because you see a lot of company hunters in the States, and for those audience members who haven't figured it out, Gerard is from the States, and I'm not. You don't see it here in the UK. Now, in the UK, we mainly use UKTC, although WTC is starting to get popular. Some GW, some places, but I think the reason you don't see it is because if you look at the UKTC terrain, there's not a lot of space for bikes to move around. So, do you play on GW terrain mainly, I'm guessing?
Yeah. And so, yeah, I play on GW terrain. And around here, at least, it seems like almost, unless it's a bigger tournament, it's almost always, the tables are almost always set up for GW1.
Interesting. So I played at Warhammer World last weekend, time of recording, and
Yeah.
that was layout 1 and layout 5 of GW terrain. And actually,
Yeah.
the way the missions were meant that the no man's land terrain always had a place you could hold it in cover. But
Yeah.
I know I've seen a lot of pictures of games in the States where, because of the layout, I don't know, but there's like 3 no man's land objectives just in the open, like completely in the open. Is that common? Is that
That's pretty common, although the 2 expansion objectives are usually, okay, not usually, depends on the mission, but they're often a little bit in terrain, like they overlap a little bit. So
okay?
you can stick a unit behind a wall, put on to the objective, and
Right.
I usually that's where my lieutenant with combi weapon goes.
Yeah. Mine normally hangs around the middle, to be fair. I find him quite useful there
Yeah,
for like getting and denying area denial and that sort of thing. But I
yeah.
think the thing
Plus,
about
I have scouts for that.
my scouts sit on the expansion objectives, why I do it the opposite way
Yeah,
round to you. But what I found, my experience recently playing GW terrain, this was at Warhammer Worlds, this is obviously
yeah,
how they
yeah,
intend it to be set up, was there's quite a lot of the base plates that don't have ruins on, and quite a lot of them that have ruins on that are under 2 inches.
yeah,
So there's
yeah,
quite a lot of places where you can just move bikes across base plates without having to go through. Well, you obviously can't go through ruin walls over 2
But
inches.
you can go through the 2-inch
You
walls.
go through the 2 inch walls, but you can't go through the other
Yeah,
ones. So there's plenty of space to kind of move around. There's quite a lot of space to deploy out of line of sight. So turn 1, you don't get shot off the board. I found there's quite a lot of staging points. I didn't play bikes, so obviously I wasn't. I couldn't. I can't think back to how that would work. But it seems to me that GW terrain is quite nice for lots of bikes and lots of vehicles and things. It's
GW terrain. Yeah, you know what? I haven't seen UK TC terrain, so I can't comment on it. I've just seen the GW terrain.
So I did a video a couple of weeks ago with Tony Tapp, and we compared
Yeah,
UKTC with GW. So if you haven't seen that, I'd advise you or anyone else to go and have a look.
right. I will.
And we both compared how our lists would work on the other person's terrain. It was quite interesting, actually, to realise that, I don't think my list would work on his terrain, and his list would work on on my terrain. So I think when you go to an event, like I say, I've got one next month or month out, I think it's April, and it's bespoke terrain, so it's the event organizer's own terrain, but it's quite open, and that's why I'm thinking about not taking my usual list, because I'm not sure that it will work without getting shot off the board. So I did do a video on this building, and I think you do need to look at the terrain when making your list. So it does well in the States, I think, because of the terrain. If you had lots of ruins with solid walls, I don't know if you ever played WTC, that's got quite a lot of solid walls as well. Do you think that would really hamper your Company Hunters list, your 9 blobs of bikes?
It can. I only use 2, so they don't get in there. They don't get in each other's way too much. And also the enhancements help with having the units not get in each other's way.
Yeah.
I have one. I have one with Master of Maneuver, and my play with that is usually it's a turn 1 rapid ingress.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to get them in my appointments.
Opponent's deployment. Yeah.
Yeah. It's I want to see where my opponent is going, and then I want to put. And sometimes I do wait until turn 2 or even turn 3 to put them down. So I'll wait to see what my opponent is doing, and then commit that unit to counter something that they're doing. And because it's so fast, I can put it somewhere where it's going to be pretty safe, and then have it bomb out and just ruin my opponent's day.
Yeah, I do that with Deathwing Knights, funny enough, because you can drop your teleport homer, put one within 3, and then string your unit out. So you can actually have your Deathwing Knights reach quite a long way from where your free teleport homer is, which is why I normally play it quite defensively. So Company Hunters has some play. There was a while where it was always like 100% win rate or 90% win rate or something, but like 2 people were playing it, and I just
because like Joe Fonspo and one other guy were just doing really well with the detachment. They have a lot of reps with it, and they play it really well.
Yeah. And presumably that's sort of a local meta thing as well, maybe, that maybe the local meta hasn't adapted to it well.
So this is a bit of a tangent, but so I keep hearing that the meta I'm in Connecticut, which is in the Northeast United States. It's in the north of New York. And I've heard that the little puddle that I'm in has a particularly sharp meta. And I've often thought that, you know what, everyone probably thinks that about their meta. And then I happened to talk to someone who had just come up from Florida, and he was like, oh no, you guys go much harder than I'm used to.
Well, my local meta, I have more top 50 world players than I can count. So it's depending which event I go to. So, but it really, it massively improves your skill level when you're playing those players, because you learn so much. I'm just thinking about time. So but this is what we want to talk about. Dark Angels detachments, Inner Circle Task Force. I actually played it today, just as a bit of a laugh. I did a 3,000 point game versus Death Guard. And in a 3,000 point game, and we played it. We played with very skew rules. We only allowed Terminators, Primarchs, and Land Raiders, so it was a bit of a silly game. But that +1 to wound on vowed objectives, reroll wounds, strat, -1 wound if the strength is higher, fight on death on a 3-up on a vowed objective. It actually all worked out really well, but in that game, it was a bit, it was a bit silly. But thinking about putting that into reality, a 2,000 point proper competitive game, I think what I found was it's just too slow. Obviously, if you take objectives, you're not vowing as many objectives as you need to. +1 to wound is lovely, but you can get chaplains for that.
And your opponent can avoid it by not putting his most important units on objectives.
And that's what I found when I first tried this. That's exactly what I found. We were doing the thing because it's Deathwing units. We're putting Azrael with Hellblasters to give them the Deathwing keyword. but what they were shooting at, it was never the right target on the right objective or whatever, right?
If the detachment rule wasn't keyworded to Deathwing infantry, if it was just keyworded to Deathwing,
Your Land
then maybe
Raiders, your
Land
Blisters,
Raiders and Dreadnoughts.
yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't make it a lot better, but it would make it better.
Redemptors would love +1 to wound on objectives, right?
Right?
And
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think it's the limitation of that keyword, and the fact that the Lion doesn't benefit from it because he's neither Deathwing nor infantry.
It's so annoying. Why doesn't the Lion have that? I think the Lion ought to have a keyword that counts as both Deathwing and Ravenwing.
Yeah, 100%. It's a bit mad, isn't it? But Lion's Blade Task Force. This was a new kid on the block a while ago. We all got really excited because we actually had a Dark Angel detachment that talked about Ravenwing and talked about Deathwing. Ravenwing, of course, Desperate Escapes of everything that's not a monster vehicle. And Deathwing get +2 to charge if Ravenwing in engagement already, which sounds brilliant, except you've got to get your Ravenwing into engagement, which is not always where they want to be. For +2 to charge, which is on the face of it worse, or it is objectively worse than just advancing and charging, because you're probably going to roll at least a 2 if you advance and charge, right?
Yeah. Well, so I think what we all got, at least what I got excited about, was the prospect of deep striking in Deathwing Knights.
Yeah.
And succeeding on a charge on a 7. And that is fun when it works. But you can still fail a 7-inch charge.
And you've just got to line all your ducks in a row. You've got to get your Ravenwing units in the right place. You've got to have the right amount of Ravenwing, the right amount of Death. And as a fun
Ravenwing half, I would say the Ravenwing half of that detachment rule is kind of underwhelming.
Yeah, exactly. Very underwhelming. And I think for me, it's fun and it's fluffy and like a narrative game. It's brilliant, and I love the fact it brings in all those different elements. But
yeah,
it
was. I think it was Games Workshop's second try at a detachment that would be sort of the default way for Dark Angels to play. The first one being the Unforgiven Task Force,
which we're about to come on to. So I played the Unforgiven Task Force a lot at the beginning of 10th. I even took it to LGT with the Lion when the Lion was crap. And I went, I'm going to make this work. And I won 1 game out of 5. And that was before it even got as good as it is now, which isn't good, but better. So Unforgiven Battle Shock units become OC1. And then the new bit, I think, I didn't have this thing when I had it, is +1 OC to a unit. So it just means that you can maybe flip an objective that maybe not got. So not amazing, not terrible as a rule. Battle Shock, you still score. It stops you having to make that awful decision. Do you spend that CP to ensure you've got that objective, and that CP could have been used for something better elsewhere?
Yeah.
Most of the strats get better if you're battle shock, but you don't have a way of battle shocking yourself, unlike the new Blood Angel detachment, for example.
Yeah. So if we had a way of battle shocking ourselves, that would be great. I have considered trying this detachment and using Ezekiel and just running him by himself and just, sending him into something just so he will die and trigger all nearby Dark Angels units to take a battle shock test.
Which you'll pass
what happens when he
all
dies.
of, and then and then you'll have wasted him, and it's. And
then you trigger I think it's Unforgiven Fury. That's where that would give a unit lethal hits, and if you have a battle shocked unit on the table, you get critical hits on 5s.
Yeah, which is quite good. And I think it's been a while since I've played it, so please forgive me. I think there's a shoot back strat which isn't bad.
Yeah, it's actually the strats are pretty good in this detachment, actually. It just fire discipline is really good. It's not the shoot back one. I'll get to that one in a second, but fire discipline gives all of a unit's ranged weapons assault heavy and ignores cover. Like, we spend a CP just to get ignores cover. If you get assault on it as well, like, if the unit doesn't already have it, that's pretty solid.
So that's an advance and shoot with a decent support. But am I right? Again, I'm a bit rusty.
Grim Retribution. Retribution. Like, it is one of the best retributive shooting strats in the game.
It's really good with Hellblasters as well, because you kill a couple, they shoot back, and the rest shoot back on top.
So
it
would be hilarious.
I have used it like that. But I think we talked earlier about movement wins games, and I think I'm right in saying there's no advance and charge.
There's no advance in charge. There is. There's shooting. There's
assault.
Shooting if you fall back, and there's the fire discipline where you can advance. You have a unit advance and shoot.
So it's a strat that kind of got a bit of shooting support, but it wants you to be on objectives. And if you get battle shocked, and there's a great enhancement, I think, isn't there, for your ancient that gives you 6 up, feel no pains, but 4 up if you're battle shocked. But I mean, 4 up, feel no pain on Deathwing Knights, yes, please. But you've got to be battle shocked.
The pennant of remember, even if it's not battle shocked, it's still a 6 up, feel no pain. You put an ancient in a unit of assault terminators with the storm shields. Who
then move 5 inches up the board and get ignored.
or you deep strike. Deep strike them a little further forward. That you to make that work, you got to kind of prep the ground. So you'll need to send something out to keep make a big enough bubble to deep strike that unit.
But
and then it's a detachment with good strats, a mediocre detachment rule. And as you say, it doesn't give you advance in charge or fall back in charge.
And I think that's the killer. And then we move on to my favourite detachment, last but not least, the new boy on the block in terms of Dark Age detachment, Wrath of the Rock. Basic rule: infantry and mounted -1 to wound if strength exceeds toughness, which is brilliant because it brings you back to my 9th edition days where you can only wound Deathwing on 4s. Not that you can only wound them on 4s now, because I played against Death Guard today, and when they charge, my toughness goes down, so they're wounding me on 2s. They get lance, so they're still wounding me on 2s. But most things are wounding you on 4s. Some things are wounding you on 3s. Your last cannon a scout, and it's still wounding on 3s, which is hilarious. Doesn't have a fallback option. That's the one downside of it. But
only on a Ravenwing unit.
Only on a Ravenwing unit.
It does have an advance and charge option.
But it has an advanced shoot and charge option, so you can use it either for your melee use, or you could use it on a shooting unit if you've got to get an angle or something.
Or if they can do both well.
Stern Guard.
Azrael.
I use it on Stern Guard quite a lot. I've used it on Azrael sometimes just so that he can shoot. Even if
is fantastic.
Even if the rest of the unit have assault guns, it's like, well, I can advance shoot and charge, so it's worth it. I like to take Samael as well because I like that second advanced shoot and charge threat, because only having one, I think your opponent can kind of play around that a little bit. I like to have that second one. So, but the suite of strats, the strat support is really good. It can do so much. It can just do, for me, it makes your units tough. They can move fast.
It alters the math that opponents have to do in order to deal with your units.
Or maths if you speak English. Sorry, I said across the pond joke. But it does. It's like I've had people just assume they'll kill my scouts, and then just haven't. Or whatever happens to be that a jump pack intercessors, for example, I normally throw them away to clear a screen, and my opponent will go, okay, I'll clear them with this, and they don't because it just throws off all their calculations. The big downside for me is not having a fallback option apart from Ravenwing, but I don't think it. I think actually there have been a few Ravenwing focused Wrath lists, but I don't think it really lends itself massively to Ravenwing myself. What do you think?
I don't think it lends itself to a lot of Ravenwing. I think it lends itself to a little.
Yeah, I bring three Outriders with Sammy. That's my nod. That's my nod to Ravenwing.
Like 3 Outriders with a Ravenwing command squad. I love Sammy, but for like the same amount of points, you get 9 wounds instead of 7.
Yeah.
You get 6 to 9 plasma shots instead of D3 blast. You get the same number of damage 2 attacks with the power sword, and they become damage 3 on the charge with the Outriders, and you can bring bikes back.
Or damage 4 if you take ancient weapons.
Damage 4 if you take ancient weapons, yeah.
And that's an amazing enhancement, which I make sure I get somewhere in every list because it's so good. But again, I agree with you. I think on paper, stat-wise, and I started off when I first played Wrath, I had the command squad with ancient weapons. And the reason I ditched it was because people could play around it and and avoid the charges.
Yeah, Sammy brings the advance and charge on his own.
The advance and charge on that unit, and then be able to. The Lion can do it somewhere else, or Deathwing Knights can do it somewhere else. That's plus why I think Sammy's better. Yeah. I think.
And it's hilarious when his sword pops off because it's sustained hits too.
Sustained too. You have to oath whatever he's going into needs to be oathed because you're going to want to fish for those 6s for that sustained too.
Yeah.
I had him pick up an Eldar transport by himself. Literally, just popped off a load of 6s, made some wounds, and they're like -3 damage on the charge. Just picked up a transport by himself. So he can do the work, and I think for me, Wrath is the reason why I love it so much. Is it just is what Dark Angel's supposed to be? It encourages you to bring your Terminators because they're tough, and it makes them tougher. It encourages you to bring some Ravenwing because they're also tougher. It means you can bring some support anti-tank units because they get to maybe advance and shoot as well. Yeah. So it just encourages you to bring quite a rounded list. Maybe you can. I mean, I've not seen 2 Wrath lists that are the same, and have done well. If you look at all your lists that do well, there might be some common denominators: Azrael, Lion, some Deathwing Knights.
The common denominators are the Lion. 2 units of Deathwing Knights, and then Azrael. I think usually Azrael with ICCs is what I see.
I would say usually Azrael with Stern Guard, but I like Azrael with ICCs myself.
I love it. I mean, they're both good. They're both good choices. You cannot go wrong either way.
See, I bring the Smash Captain with my Stern Guard because with Ancient Weapons, he's now Strength 10, -3 damage. Yeah. Finest Hour, he gets his devastating wounds. And of course, with Stern Guard, he's re-rolling his wounds. So, because you're going to put him against the oath target.
Are you using 5 Stern Guard for that, or 10?
Just 5. Just 5.
Just the 5, yeah.
With 10, he's not giving them anything. So... they come out, they do some devastating wounds to something, they charge in, and then he just smashes anything with his fist.
Even 5 Stern Guard, they'll probably do as many devastating wounds as average dice on a grenade.
Yeah,
and it's for free. You're not spending CP on it, and then the Smash Captain really benefits from their datasheet roll.
And the fact that the Smash Captain has a free CP means he might want to use the advanced shoot and charge. It doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah.
And I found that unit really, really quite a good utility unit. And if my opponent picks it up, fine. I've probably got something staging nearby that can trade quite well with whatever ends up. And again, although it's just marine bodies, the
Yeah.
-1 to wound, it really throws off the maths. I played against Blood Angels recently, and the things that they should have picked up, they weren't picking up because that -1 to wound is huge.
Yeah. It's always on. It's there isn't any way for an opponent to play around it and deny it to you, except for like ignores modifiers, which is not a super common ability. It's not.
No.
It's there, it's out there, but not too many units. And usually, to get it, opponents have to spend a resource like a CP or maybe a unique resource that their army gives or something.
And even if they've got lance, unless their strength matches your toughness, you're countering their rule with your rule in most cases, unless they're really high strength. What we haven't talked about is probably the best strat in the game, potentially, or certainly in Dark Angels, which is Leonine Aggression.
Leonine Aggression,
Which, again, the Lion should have Deathwing so he can make max use of it, but to be able to just wait to the end of the charge phase and then go, well, I'm making I'm charging that unit because it's within 6, which just means, I always tell my opponents and remind my opponents, you're moving in within 6, I can Leonine Aggression you, right?
Yeah.
But actually, often that saves me spending the CP because I just don't do it in the first place.
They just don't step on the objective.
But today, for example, I was playing against Blood Angels and they hit the middle really, really hard. So I rapid ingressed, this was turn 2, so I rapid ingressed my Deathwing Knights before they came in. They had to get within 6. They were in 6 of another unit of Deathwing Knights. And both of them could then heroic. Because one heroic and then one Leonined.
That's the play. That's what you hope to set up with Wrath of the Rock, is being able to Leonine with something and heroic with something else. Like usually the Lion.
Usually the Lion, if he can get close.
Yeah.
But the other thing about it is because it's at the end of the charge phase. Sometimes if you heroic, you then put your unit where another unit can then charge your heroic unit. And it used to be the rule, as written, that they couldn't charge anything that started outside of 12. That's now being fact. You can charge anything that's within 12 when you declare your charge.
Yeah.
So you get charged, you then heroic, but then something else then charges your unit the heroic, which may or may not be what you want. With Leonine, you go, have you finished charging? Yep. Okay, now I'm going to do my heroic, and you can't now do anything about it because we're now ending the charge phase.
I played a game against another Dark Angels player where we were both playing Wrath, and we had that interaction. It was hilarious.
Yeah. But yeah, it's such a good strat, and I think for me that's why Wrath has the suite of everything. And the only thing I wish it had was some sort of fallback and do something. Fallback and charge would be lovely.
Yeah.
Apart from Raven Wing, but with my Terminators,
but
I love it.
Like usually if we charge an opponent with Deathwing something, unless it's like a Ballistus Dreadnought, like they're gonna come pretty close to picking up almost anything they charge.
Yeah, so I played Death Guard quite a lot, and they're T7, and Deathwing Knights do not do well into T7 Terminators.
No, I could see that being a problem.
So I did try it with swords and a chaplain. They do much better, but that's an expensive unit once you put a chaplain in with them. So yeah, I think it's solid. I'd be interested to know from the viewers what's your favourite detachment and why. Have we persuaded you to try something you've not tried before? Have we missed something on the Space Marine detachments or the Dark Angels ones that actually you think makes them shine better? And maybe sometimes I think people get into the habit of going for what's doing well and not innovating. I think I've seen a lot of innovation recently, particularly with Wrath. Like I say, I don't think I've seen two lists that are the same, that have gone X and O or X and 1. I think everyone's got their slight different take on it. What about you, Jeremy? What are you trying next, or are you sticking with a certain list?
I'm sticking with the Company of Hunters for now. This is probably the last hurrah for Ravenwing Knights as we know them, and for like Land Speeder Vengeances. So I'm using them while I can, and I feel like I'm getting pretty good with them. And then I have a lot of store credit built up at one of my local stores. So when Ravenwing Knights get replaced, and my prediction is we're getting something that's a jet bike platform. But when they get replaced, I'm going to be like, okay, I'm using all my store credit. I want 6 of that box.
I think I've got maybe 9, or maybe 12 Ravenwing Black Knights. So
Yeah,
I think
so
I think I'd like some
12 Black
Primaris
Knights
ones.
and yeah, I have 12 Black Knights and 3 command squads, and a lot of those guys were regular bikes before.
And you converted them.
Uh,
I've only got one command squad,
yeah,
so because I had that thing with Ninth where I had my Deathwing command squads, I had
yeah.
like 3, and they just got
The
massacred. So
the Ravenwing command squad is a fantastic unit, and you could run it just solo, not attach it to anything. It would still be good, but I wouldn't recommend to any viewers that you go out and buy them now
no, I wouldn't buy
because they seem
anything
likely
firstborn.
to. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy Vindicators, Rhinos, anything that's firstborn. It's just risky. It's just
Yeah.
apart maybe Land
It,
Raiders. I think might be a bit too iconic for them to
I
get
think
rid of.
Land Raiders are okay. Like you can buy Land Raiders. That's about it.
Yeah, even like Vanguard Vets, I'd put money on Vanguard Vets being an early 11th release, probably with different war gears. You can't use your old ones
Yeah.
without conversion, because that's what Games Workshop like to do, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you. So you're firmly in the Company Hunters camp. I'm firmly in the Wrath of the Rock camp. I do very much still like my Stormlance and would play them
Sure.
quite happily. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna give Firestorm a try, and as per last week's challenge by Patrice, it's gonna have 15 Hellblasters in it.
So one piece of tech that I used when I played the Firestorm, like again, don't invest in this if you don't already have it, but Devastator squads with multi-meltas riding around in Razorbacks.
Razorbacks, yeah. I have a
Yeah.
Razorback, 2 Razorbacks, I think actually, but I don't have any Devastator Marines. But yeah, I can see why the reroll wounds when you get out
Yeah.
with melters is quite tasty. But no, my list
Yeah.
is going to be 5 Infernus Marines and a Captain in a drop pod,
Yeah.
10 Stern Guard in a drop pod,
Yeah.
10 Hellblasters, Azrael and a Lieutenant in a Repulsor,
Mhm.
5 Hellblasters in an Impulsor, the Lion... No, not the Lion. I can't afford the Lion. And some Scouts and Intercessors and
The detachment
stuff.
doesn't do much for the Lion anyway.
No, exactly. So I just wanted lots of other stuff that wasn't the Lion.
Yeah.
So 1 unit of Deathwing Knights. I couldn't not have any Deathwing Knights.
So don't sleep on the fact that the +1 to wound strat in the Firestorm can also be used in the fight phase.
In melee?
I've actually, yeah. So you can use it. You get +1 to wound against a target that's in the shooting phase that's within 6 inches of your unit, or in the fight phase. It specifies the nearest target, but it's the fight phase. It's hard for the target not to be the nearest.
Do you know what?
I've actually
Sorry, I was going to say
picked up knights with Hellblasters
in melee.
that were led by Azrael and a lieutenant using that strat.
Wow. So yeah, I must admit, I've not looked at the strats in huge amount of details. I know there's some getting in and out of transporty stuff. It's mainly the
Yeah.
detachment rule,
Yeah.
the dev wound, and the +1 to wound that I've looked at. But I must admit, I didn't read it in detail. So +1 to wound in melee. So Deathwing Knights maybe as well. They benefit from that.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm looking at the strat now.
Yep.
I think it's Crucible of that. That's not been selected to shoot until the end of the phase. Each model in your unit makes an attack that targets the closest eligible target within 6 inches. Add 1 to the wound. Add 1 to the wound roll.
and that's in the
It's
fight
shooting or fight
phase as well.
It's key. It's just keyworded to Adeptus to start as the infantry.
Nice.
So yeah. So yes, definitely Knights can absolutely use that.
Thank you very. Oh, that's a good tip. Any other good tips from anyone before I try it out? I think I'm going to try it out at some point in a casual game before I decide if I'm going to take it to a tournament. But yeah, let us know in the comments what you think. I'm going to give a shout out to our sponsors: Glasshammer Gaming, Terrain Forge, Trident Futureworks, and Gambit Gaming. Gerard, do you have any shout outs?
I would appreciate it if you would read my blog, Angels Keep, 40 Dark Angels blog. I am friendly with the guys on Danklist Wargaming over on YouTube.
Great guys.
They're great guys. Definitely worth checking them out.
And there's a link in your blog every week to their YouTube channel, which is a good. I watch that YouTube channel. It's monthly, so I watch it every month. There's occasionally bonus episodes, well worth a watch. Like I say, Gerard, when this video comes out, which will be probably a week after recording, make sure you pop into the comments and put a link to your blog.
I will be happy to do so.
Any final words?
I'd play a lot of games, have fun, and be ever victorious for the lion.
For the lion! And from me, hope that helps. Catch you later.